There was a farmer that owned one of the biggest farms in his entire town. One day he looked outside and he looked at his barn. He saw that his only horse had broken out of his stable and ran away. The people of his town came to his front door and they said, "Oh my gosh, your only horse, it's gone. How are you going to make a living now? You must have such bad luck." And to that, the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A couple of days go by and the farmer looks outside his door and his horse had returned home to the front doorstep of his barn. But behind him were 3 wild stallions. Again, the people of the town came to the front door of the farmer and they said, "You have 4 horses now. You are the richest person in our village. You must be so excited. What great luck you must have." And again, the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." The next day, the farmer's son is riding one of the horses to break it in. As he's thrown off, he breaks his leg. And again, the people of the village come to the front doorstep of the farm and they say, "Your son has broken his leg. You must be so upset. What terrible luck you must have." And to that, the farmer replies, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." 3 weeks go by and the National Guard come to the front doorstep of everybody in the town, taking all of the able-bodied men to go and fight in a war that the country is now in. But they leave the farmer's son because he's still recovering from a broken leg. And again, the people of the town come to the front doorstep of the farm and they say, "Oh my gosh, your son, his life is spared. He does not have to die in this war. You must be so excited. What great luck you must have." And to that, the farmer still replies, "Maybe so, maybe not, but we'll see." Does a rose bush have thorns or does a thorn bush have roses? That's the question. Speaking of farmers, one of my best friends growing up in Maryland, their family were actually farmers. I know it's a weird thing to think of. And every year they did this really cool thing where they would have this huge haunted house party where people from across the city would all come. I'm talking hundreds of people in one area for a night of fun with family and friends. And around that time, in a former life, I was super into theater. And at that point in time, my favorite musical was Phantom of the Opera. For those of you that don't know what Phantom of the Opera is, it was this guy that had the most beautiful voice in the world, but his face was scarred up and burned to the point that he wore a mask on half his face. He had a top hat on his head and this long, beautiful black cape that he wore. So me and my friend, boys being boys, we're running back and forth, playing tag, jumping off the tractor, running around, having a good time. And the last time I jumped off the tractor playing tag with my friend, I learned a very valuable lesson. You see, I'm not sure if you guys saw the movie The Incredibles. You remember that really little short lady that was the seamstress for all of the superheroes? Well, she had one rule. She said all of her superheroes were not allowed to wear capes. Well, that day I learned why that rule was in place. You see, the last time I jumped off the tractor, I was in midair, my cape got hooked onto the back of the tractor, and I smacked the back of my head, fractured my skull, my brain was swelling up to the point that it wouldn't even fit in my own head, and I fell into a week-long coma that quite frankly almost took my life. What terrible luck I must have. Obviously, I'm still here, so we all know that I made it. But around that time, I loved soccer before that accident. I literally was on the newspaper because I was averaging 5 goals a game. I don't know if you know what soccer is, but in 5 goals in a game, that's a high-scoring game for 2 people to score all together within the team. Not in one person to almost average a double hat trick every single time he steps on the field. But because I had taken so much time away from soccer, I grew a new passion for a different kind of football. I'm talking American football, and very quickly I became a superstar in that as well. I went to high school, I was the star of the football team, captain. I was, for lack of better terms, him. And so much so that I got offered a D1 scholarship to one of the biggest D1 schools in the NCAA. What great luck I must have. Right before I accepted my Division I scholarship, we got a message from the administration. They said, "Well, look, Delaney, we have some bad news. You took remedial Spanish, and unfortunately, that doesn't meet the foreign language requirements to accept a Division I scholarship." And just like that, that D1 scholarship turned into a D2 school called Pace University in New York that hadn't won a game in 10 years. What terrible luck I must have. Fast forward, I go to this small school, and all of a sudden, I'm the star of the campus, the savior of the school, if you will. The athletic director still texts me to this day to stay in touch. And against all odds, I was still able to get to the point that I was fortunate to stand amongst the regional combine for the NFL and fight amongst 300 other men to get noticed by 32 teams to have a shot at a childhood dream of playing in the NFL. And out of that 300, I was one of five hand-selected to talk to a scout to try to make myself to the next level. He said, son, I liked what I saw today. Not yet. I liked what I saw today out of you. I want you to come to this pro day at Fordham. I want to see a little bit more out of you and see if you can take this to the next level. Please email Fordham to ask them to give you access to the field, and we'll see you soon. And so what great luck I must have once again. I emailed Fordham, and all of a sudden, to my dismay, I was denied access to the field because, ironically enough, they had another running back that was from their school that was also trying to get in the NFL, and they wanted nobody else to take his shine. And just like that, my childhood dream, much like the Black Panther movie, was stripped away. What terrible luck. What terrible luck I must have. At that point in time, I was dating this girl that was at my school, and I had moved to New York to be closer with her. And in the months following, my grandfather, who was the person that gave me enough power to walk when I came out of that coma, died. My parents had a very similar conversation with me that Carl shared with us when he said, hey, Delaney, your and sister need to come to our room. We have something to talk about. No, they didn't get divorced. No, there was no cheating. But unfortunately, the home that I had grown up in, my entire life was being foreclosed on. They couldn't be in it anymore. And all of a sudden, my family was homeless. What terrible luck I must have. Oh, and by the way, the girl that I moved to New York for no longer wanted to be with me. Now I'm in New York, a state that I've never been in, broken, alone, and afraid. What terrible luck I must have. Moving forward, I met this financial advisor that brought me into an industry that, quite frankly, allows me to change people's lives in a way that I could only imagine and make an income that even an NFL athlete, on average, would be jealous of. And I met the personal trainer that pushed me to go into something called powerlifting. And in 5 short years, not only did I speak on a stage full of financial advisors in Chicago, teaching them a little something or two about finance, even though they've been in the industry longer than I've been alive, but I also was crowned a 2-time world champion in one of the biggest stages that the world has ever known. So I ask you again, my friend, does a rose bush have thorns, or does thorn bushes have roses? So often in life, we try to look and we try to find these small fragments of time and determine whether or not it is God pushing us towards our fate or the devil trying to pull us down. And so I ask you, I really do have a question. When I was 8 years old and I was laying lifeless on a bed with my life on the line, was that God trying to take me from my family too soon? Or is that just God telling me you need to slow down a bit because there's this game called football that I think you're going to be good at? Maybe so, maybe not. We will see. I mean, when I finally got the opportunity to go to the D1 school of my dreams, and it was stripped away from me because of a Spanish class. Was that the world trying to punk me, or is that saying, no, I just needed to put you in a place where you would have a little bit more impact? Maybe so, maybe not, we'll see. I mean, when I finally got the opportunity to live a dream that only a fraction of people in this world get to and go to the NFL just for somebody that didn't even shake my hand to deny me access, was that the world saying, no, you're just not good enough? Or that's just saying, no, God, I just have a bigger plan for you. You don't know it yet. I mean, when my grandfather died, when my parents lost their home, and the girl that I was dating no longer wanted to be with me, and now I'm in a state that I no longer wanted to be in, was that the universe trying to punish me for something I don't know what it was? Or was that God just saying, no, my son, you are quite literally one of the strongest men in the world, and so it takes a great force to put you in the place that you need to be to meet the financial advisor that's going to change your life, to meet that random trainer from Tuckahoe, New York, whose destiny was to spark the match that would light the flames to your destiny, to stand amongst men across the world and stand amongst them, the greatest of them all. My son, you were built to be a diamond, not coal. And much like a diamond, it needs immense pressure when it needs to transform to what it needs to be. And so I ask you one last time, does a rose bush have thorns, or does a thorn bush have roses? I'm sorry, guys, I've gotten to the end of my talk and I really don't know the answer. But what I do know is this. When you're looking in the mirror, you're trying to think about that moment in your life that's caused you so much pain, and you're replaying it in your head again and again and again and again and again, like some sick song you can't turn off. Was that the universe trying to break you, or was that God just saying, no, my son, I just need to put you in the place that you need to be? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, you will only see if you continue to answer the call when opportunity knocks on your door. Thank you for your time.